Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I'm fine. Kisumu is also fantastic. Maybe you could let me know where you are watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Two things yesterday took place or happened in this country, which are going to directly affect the outcome of the 2027 general election. Let me just put it this way. If William Ruto is going to have his way in forming the IEBC using the same pace he is going, then the outcome of the 2027 election is already decided. And therefore, my advice to Kenyans is that based on whatever is happening in the area, if William Ruto is going to be allowed to proceed the way he's proceeding, then there will be no need of us going into the election. The first thing which happened yesterday was that the Muchelule Tribunal made its ruling. And in their ruling, they recommended to the president to remove Irene Masit from office for gross misconduct. According to them, Irene Masit agreed to moderate the results after the Security Advisory Council visited them at the Bomas of Kenya or whichever place. So based on that, Muchelule recommended her removal. Of course, the other commissioners refused to face the tribunal because they already knew what was awaiting them. Then immediately that ruling was out, William Ruto appointed 7 members to the IEBC selection panel, despite the fact that Raila Odinga and Azimio are protesting. Let me just read for you the Gazette notice, what that Gazette notice is saying. I hope I'm getting it very fast. Let me just read for you the Gazette notice which announced the changes there. This is what, I think it should be here, it's this one. The Gazette notice is saying, selection panel for the recruitment of nominee for the appointment as chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission appointment in exercise of the powers conferred by Section 7A of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commissions Act 2011. The Act, as read with paragraph 1(2) of the first schedule to the Act, I, William Samoei Ruto, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defence Forces, appoints Bethuel Sugut, Bovines Aurelia Atieno, Charity S. Kisotu, Evans Misati James, Benson Ngungi Njeri, Nelson Makanda, Doctor, and Fatma Saman to be members of the selection panel for the recruitment of the nominee for the appointment as the chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. Now, I want us to look at these appointments, the 7 member who are going to identify the next chairperson of IBC, the person who is going to replace Wafula Chebukati, and the other IBC commissions. Before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is now. Let me introduce to you guys a website where you can actually do forex trading for those who are interested. And if you are looking to learn how to trade in Forex, kindly check out DT Forex Trading website. They offer trading bots with a 93% success rate. Their websites are easy, and detailed educational materials you will also find there, which will help you to become a top trader. Kindly visit the website, which is down there, to get started. Now, let us get back to the main issue. Raila Odinga, a few weeks ago, or is it days ago, issued 3 demands to William Samoei Ruto. And if William Ruto was not going to meet those demands, Raila Odinga promised mass action. When he was in Kitale, it was 10 days to the big day. One of the conditions or demands he was placing was that William Ruto was not going to be allowed to form the next IEBC, because IEBC, the court ruled, is the commission. So basically, if you remember, the last issue was that we had 7 commissioners, 4 were handshake commissioners, and the 3 were William Ruto's commissioners. This time around, if this is going to go the way it is going, then William Ruto is definitely going to have a say on the commission and the people who are going to be appointed to serve in the commission. But for me, if you ask me, that's a serious challenge to the country, and I'm not sure whether the 2027 election will pass the test of the timing. So why do you think the issue of IEBC selection panel is an issue? For me, I don't blame William Ruto. William Ruto is a schemer who is also very shrewd, and he likes taking advantage. I blame Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is the person who has put us where we are today. During the handshake, Raila Odinga had the opportunity to reform IEBC. I was monitoring the elections in Nigeria, and the kind of rigging in that country confirms that indeed there is no election in Africa. Africa should actually go back to the time of the kings and queens ruling, or maybe colonialism, because it's a shame. In Kenya, it's the same, but Kenya is now a bit advanced. For example, instead of having the same form rubbed several times, in Kenya what they did, they just printed form 34A2, so that in case of rubbing, another form is easily used, so nobody will actually realize. But why is this selection going to be a pain for Kenyans in the future? Number one, if William Ruto will proceed, because he's going to proceed, William Ruto is saying, I'm proceeding, Raila, don't proceed. If it proceeds, it's going to give Azimio the ground for mass action. Because the thing is, and I've been thinking, strategically, if you look at it, the Azimio are demanding for fair play. But William Ruto became the president of the Republic of Kenya, not because of anything, but because of the US government and the American government. I mean, American government and the British government. In fact, the whole issue about the China Square has nothing to do with Nyamakima traders. It's all about China versus US. US don't want China to set base in Kenya. That mall, they're going to be kicked out. So the truth is, Raila is calling for mass action. The US government have their project in the name of Ruto. They are telling Ruto, stay put, just try follow law, implement these things, we are fully behind you. So let us wait and see who is going to have the final word. Is it Raila Odinga or is it William Ruto? Because William Ruto is trying to ensure that everything is actually done within the laws. You know, you can rig elections, but do it within the law, just like Chebukati tried to do it. In 2017, he went off the laws. In 2022, he was so keen on preventing anything to an extent that he went ahead and printed extra copies of Form 34As. This time around, William Ruto is also saying that because Raila Odinga made a mistake of failing to implement electoral reforms when he had the opportunity, and in fact, he brought up a legislation which is working in my favor, I'm just going to restrict myself to the law. So the first thing, ensure the other commissioners are out of office. You don't force them. You don't kick them out. You engineer a tribunal. And that tribunal is going to remove them. They'll be out of office. Then you'll now be free to appoint. Then move ahead. Appoint a selection panel who will then invite interviews. And the interviews will be done. The new commission will be in place. But that is giving Azimio the ground for mass action. The next time the panel will be meeting to elect, a group of youths will disrupt them. Chaos will erupt. And for me, that's a big problem. This process needs to be, we need to sober up as a country and probably figure out whether Azimio are wrong or whether Ruto is right. So that's for me the first thing. Number two is the credibility of this process is going to be put to question. However you look at it, William Ruto is wrong, is right. Legally, morally, he's wrong. There is nothing which stopped him from granting Azimio their wishes. On the other side, Azimio can also not bulldoze. And of course, if you look at the history of IEBC from the time of ECK, it has just been like that. You have to put pressure, then come up with the kind of IPPG, then you have a credible election. The other thing which happened was that there was a general agreement that highly qualified Kenyans cannot be compromised. But the truth is, the biggest letdown of the country are actually the professionals. So the credibility of this process is going to be put to question. The challenge I have with this is that we are likely not to have serious individuals getting into this office. You know, if those people with high integrity will shy off from taking up the roles at IEBC because IEBC will destroy their reputation. Tell me anybody who has served in IEBC who has left clean just because of the way these things are done. Number three, we are also laying the ground to reject the outcome of the 2027 election. Whichever way it will go, if it will favor Ruto, nobody is going to accept it. We are laying the ground because we are like, okay, this is what it's doing. If Ruto can control this process the way it's controlling, then what about the main commission now? What about the procurement which will happen there? You know, because the procurement of the Kimskate, printing materials, those are where rigging took place. For example, I'm sure the election, I mean, the last providers of Kimskate, the electoral software which was used, Jose Camago, directly elected for us as president. That one we can't deny. But we are now laying a ground for anybody, even if they will lose fairly, to reject the results. And the other thing which is also coming out is the issue of electoral justice. When will we ever fight for electoral justice? And what does really electoral justice mean? Is it when Raila Odinga loses an election? Or is it about the validity of the vote? Because we need a situation where we go for election. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. And the other thing I'm seeing, which is a big problem, is that there's a possibility that based on the new commission which is going to be formed, a section of Kenyans might decide to boycott election, which would mean that if you go for the next election, then William Ruto will win, Azimio will boycott, then the issues of legitimacy will come. You see, for example, when we went for the rerun in 2017, almost half of the country did not vote. In Nyanza, for example, nobody voted for Uhuru Kenyatta. Nobody voted in the rerun. And that is what brought the issues of legitimacy for Uhuru Kenyatta. Of course, William Ruto can be a dictator. You won't bother because the law is clear that as long as you win, the percentage of turnout is not necessary. But the thing is, boycotting the election will create legitimacy issues which will take Kenya back to the dark days. And lastly, if you ask me, we are likely to see more agitation for reforms in the country, something which I think should have ended in the 90s. But I'm seeing this, the civil society are going to come up, the church also already with Ruto, but some church leaders are likely to join forces to agitate for reforms. I don't know what to think, That's my take. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day. Bye bye.